Welcome to the On Main Street podcast, where you'll meet some of the area's leading minds. These community leaders and business owners are ready to share their journeys of success, failures, and what it takes to reach your full potential.
We're your hosts, Kelly Baith
and Brady Lindquist. First of all, we want to thank you for sticking around with us. We've been on a bit of a break this summer, but we're excited to get back at it. On this week's episode, we sit down with Bill Adams, the new superintendent for the New London Spicer School District. With the new school year fast approaching, we thought it'd be a great idea to have him on the show. We'll start off with you telling us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So if I give you the full history, it'd take forever. So I'm going to give you an abbreviated history.
Yeah,
that'd be good.
So the story of Bill Adams started off at Janesville, Minnesota, so south central Minnesota. I'm a farm boy.
Okay.
I started off on a farm in the 80s. I was born in the 70s, but my mom and dad ran a farm and with some of my dad's brothers. And during the late 80s, unfortunately, during the times of high interest rates, they were forced to make a tough decision and sell the equipment. And so they got out of that, and my dad entered the world of carpentry. So I got to hang out with him and learn the skills of a carpenter. But my mom also got to pursue some of her entrepreneurial ideas. So they opened a video store, a tanning salon, and a restaurant. And so I had an opportunity to work in all those as well.
Wow, okay.
And really, I attribute those experiences to developing who I am today in terms of connecting with people, building relationships, and understanding that the customer is always right. And
Sure.
I mean, obviously in the world of education, that's not always the case, but you do what you can to connect with people and build relationships. And so, yeah, I had experiences working in those businesses, and I realized real quickly that I didn't want to do any of that when I got older. And I always had a real strong connection with kids because my dad and mom both came from families of 12. So I had just a ton of cousins.
Big family.
Oh, huge family. And so I had good relationships with my cousins, and I really enjoyed my time with the younger kids, connecting with them and teaching them how to play sports or how to do this, that, and the other thing. And so throughout high school, I was involved in a variety of different things. Obviously, you do the athletics and things of that nature, but I also did the Future Teacher of America program, as well as some DARE, Big Brother, Big Sister kind of thing. And so I had an opportunity to connect with elementary age kids. And quite frankly, something that was really important to me as I was choosing my path in education. And I joke, but there is some seriousness behind it, is I needed to make sure I chose clientele in which I'd be taller than. So I chose elementary. And about third grade is when it was about the max where I could go, and the kids were still shorter than me. But in all seriousness, I really wanted to have a pretty strong impact on the development of our world and society. Yeah. And I felt that would be the best way to do it, is to become a teacher and be a good role model for kids. And so I did. I entered the world of education. And
so you were a teacher initially, or what did you go to school for?
Yeah, I was an elementary education major and a middle school social studies minor. Okay. And so I started my career as a first grade teacher, actually as a fourth grade long-term replacement teacher, and then dove into first grade.
Then you had to get to where they're shorter than.
Downgrade to where I could, or not downgrade, but downsize.
Downsize. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
gotcha.
And so I was able to, teach first grade, and then I did some third, and then back to first. And the thing I appreciated about first grade the most, it was just awesome, is the development and growth in their reading skills. And I would say one of the neatest things that I did was first grade students is at the beginning of the year, I'd have them read an excerpt from a thematic skills unit type reading. And I'd have them read it, and I'd record them on a digital voice recorder. And I'd do it again at the end of the first quarter, the end of the first quarter, the end of the second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, et cetera. And I would burn that onto a CD and give it to the parents at the end.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And it was really cool to listen to their very first reading and their final reading.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It was just eye-opening in terms of the impact that you have on the students. So that was really cool as a first grade teacher, and I appreciated that.
Was this in Mankato or
No. I actually, I grew up in Janesville, Minnesota. I graduated from high school at Janesville, Waldorf, Pemberton.
Yeah.
And then I started my teaching career at Janesville, Waldorf, Pemberton as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did all that, and then I entered the world of administration as an elementary principal at Renville County West.
Okay. How did you make that decision?
You know, I always had a yearning for leadership, I guess a desire to lead people. And, really, if you want to, I can probably put my thumb on an event that took place in my life where I knew I needed to shake up the world of education to make sure kids were provided with exactly what they needed to enter the world of college, but not just college, career and life readiness and all those endeavors. And it was as a freshman in college, and I was talking to my freshman roommate. His name was Matt Romsdahl. We wrestled together at Augsburg, and he said to me, he asked me if I had checked my email yet. And I thought, well, what are you talking about? What's email? And he said, well, it's electronic mail. It's kind of like it's like getting mail, but only on a computer. And I couldn't visualize that. I'm like, I don't know. I've never seen that. How do you get mail through a computer? It doesn't seem possible. How do you send an envelope through a tiny wire? So anyway, he took me down to the computer lab and the below in Ernest Tower, and he showed me. And I got thinking, I was very disappointed that as a high school kid that I didn't have exposure to that, but that he did.
Yeah.
And I felt that there was some inequity there, and why did I miss out on that opportunity? And I thought, I'm entering education. I'm going to make darn sure that every kid that I come in contact with is adequately prepared for the next level, whatever that next level is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I knew I could do it as a classroom teacher, but at the end of the day, if you want to move a whole system, or you really need to be leading a system. And so I thought, well, I can start as an elementary principal and eventually work my way up to be superintendent to make sure every kid in a school district leaves adequately prepared for that next level, whatever that should be, college, career, life, just life in general. So yeah, that's how I ended up becoming a superintendent. Really, that's the story.
Wow, that's a cool route.
That is. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So you kind of done it all in the school system, basically.
Yeah. Yep. And I have not, I haven't been an activities director or a high school principal, but those jobs are two jobs that I probably wouldn't necessarily want to have.
Sure.
It's not where my wheelhouse is. And so you hire highly effective people to be in those wheelhouses and to lead those particular areas. And it's fortunate to, we come in and you've got an outstanding activities director right now and has a very strong reputation throughout the state as being a highly effective activities director. And we just had an opportunity to hire a new high school principal who I think is going to do a great job. Obviously big shoes to fill with Kevin's departure. But at the end of the day, I have a lot of confidence in Jamie's ability to be able to lead the high school.
Oh, that's good. Tell us what it's like kind of coming here to New London Spicer in our community. And obviously we're probably a little biased to it and just love it. But what's it like coming here?
Yeah, I'll tell you, you heard my story. I grew up in Janesville. I taught in Janesville. I led in Janesville, at Janesville, Waldorf, Pemberton in particular. And so all those connections, I was deeply rooted in the community. So, I knew pretty much everyone in the community and maybe who their parents or grandparents were and what year they graduated high school. I knew all those connections. And so now you come to NLS and you don't know all those connections. So it's a little bit different in that sense. But what I can say is that I've been here maybe June 13th-ish, right around there is when we closed. So you're maybe approaching 2 months or just over 2 months now. And I couldn't be more happy with the move. The people I've met have been absolutely amazing, very welcoming and just willing to help. It's been really a neat transition. I've met with a variety of community leaders. I've met with parents, staff members. So I've met with I would say a really good cross-section of the two communities and the school district, and really great people, salt of the earth type people that I've met. They're catching on to who I am and my sense of humor, and I try not to take life too seriously. and I like to laugh. I mean, Kelly, I got to work with you on.
We had a good time.
So, yeah, I feel as though we connected pretty well, and so yeah, that's been great. The most enjoyable part though so far has been seeing the student athletes or the students come back now for activities, and it's a lot of fun to go out. And I had an opportunity to go see the tennis team, the girls' tennis team a couple days ago, and then cross country a couple times. The football team, I've walked by the volleyball crew, and it's so fun to see the kids back in action, and because ultimately that's what brings the energy to the work that we do. And the thing that really impresses me the most is 235 student athletes participated in the ETS weight training program this summer.
Yeah.
I think that's the number, 235. And to me, that is mind-blowing, the amount of kids that are committed to improving their skills. And it's not normal. And I think it's good to hear that from an outsider, to come in and be able to recognize that and say, hey, you've got a good thing going here.
Yeah. Wow.
And you look at New London, the downtown's absolutely awesome. It's gorgeous. And we've got people that say, hey, I'll come and visit because I want to go check out that downtown.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And that's pretty neat. And then you've got all the lakes. And so we've been on the lakes a lot this summer since we've been here. And that's not something we would have done had we been still in Janesville. So yeah, we're really excited to be here.
What are some of your goals as a superintendent coming in here?
Yeah, so I've thought a lot about goals for the NLS school district as its new superintendent. And the first goal for me is getting to know the people and the culture of the community, where they've been, where the system has been, where it needs to go, and to learn all that before I really develop a strong understanding of where we need to start moving. I do know, initial thoughts are, how can we engage more technology and move into maybe a one-to-one type platform or whatever that ends up being, in conjunction with the staff and the school board to develop what that vision looks like. But at the end of the day, NLS does a really good job and has done a really good job educating the students that enter their schoolhouse gate, and as they leave, they're pretty well adequately prepared. But for those of you that, if you've read the book From Good to Great by Jim Collins, you need to consistently be moving. And I think what we understand in education is that there's never a destination. We're always on a journey. And as soon as you say we've reached a destination in improving our organization, we aren't doing what's right for kids any longer. And so it's just developing the mindset of continuous improvement, or continuing to develop and strengthen that mindset here at NLS of continuous improvement. And I've referenced it before. I think what people need to understand is, we talk a lot about preparing kids for college, career, and life readiness. And when we're having that conversation, we really need to focus on what that is and defining that for a kindergarten student that's entering in 2019. Because as you think about it, they're really going to be entering the workforce 17 years from that date, 13 years of K through 12, and then 4 years potentially if they do a 4-year track. So 17 years from now, what are we doing in our system to prepare a kid for 17 years from now? Because the world's going to look much different in 17 years than what it looks like today. And what are those jobs going to be? What is going to be the makeup of what are going to be the desired characteristics of a prospective employee 17 years from now, and as opposed to 4 years from now? And if you think about 17 years ago, so what would be at 2002? I mean, 2002. That's pre-cellular device almost. You had your little Nokia pull out the antenna phones. Yeah, you couldn't do much. Maybe the BlackBerry Pearl was out, but
probably not.
Yeah. So you think about how much the world has changed, and as you develop your programming and your strategic directions, your vision, your mission, you really need to be thinking about that rather than 4 years from now.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So how do you solve that problem?
Yeah, you need to have some good foresight, and really what we hear from people right now is the soft skills matter more than anything else. the ability to be able to communicate and collaborate with people, the ability to problem solve.
Problem solving's huge.
Yeah. So those are the things that we should be working on right now. Obviously, the ability to understand content and circle in an oval, I guess, for a lack of a better phrase, or I think is something we need to continue to focus more on, and don't get hung up on the test results. And let's look at the whole human being. And
sure,
that's always been my focus, is don't get lost in the results, but focus on the process. And if you focus on the process, the results will take care of themselves.
Sure. How do you see problems with like social media and that kind of thing? Where do you think that's headed?
So social media can be a great tool, and for communication, the collaboration piece. And I can talk about one example in particular. Is there's somebody that I had met on Twitter, and it was another educational leader, and I was at a conference, and I think it was in San Diego. Yeah, I'm certain it was in San Diego. And I was standing in the hallway after a session I was at, and I was talking to another superintendent, and I heard somebody yell at JWP Bulldog. I thought I heard somebody yell that, and I got thinking, there's no way I'm hearing things. Nobody's yelling at JWP Bulldog. I mean, my name's Bill. And so I hear it again, and I'm like, okay, I heard it. Somebody is seriously yelling, and I look to my right, and it's at Sean Cianfrano, and that's who I had met on Twitter. And so we connected at this conference. We saw each other in person, and we were able to communicate and connect. And so you can use social media as a very powerful tool to improve your own professional practice. And so I think if you leverage social media in that way, it can be an outstanding tool for even learning opportunities for kids. So I'm one that firmly believes in, if you teach kids the right way to utilize information by teaching habits of mind and by teaching good decision making, that all technologies can be of benefit to be able to self-regulate. You know, when you have a device in your hand, what decisions are you making, and how do you make those effective decisions when you have them, especially in a school building? Yeah, you've got a 5-minute break. What should you use that device for? Some people need a brain break, but can you take it and deeper your understanding of content and knowledge or content? So yeah, we just need to consistently find ways to leverage students on how to use technology as a learning tool.
That's a good thing. Yeah. What do you enjoy the most about your position?
What I enjoy most about my position is
being a superintendent.
Yeah, I'd like to connect with people. And I feel as though this position allows me the opportunity to connect with people, because I have an ability to be able to schedule things outside of the day. You know, as a teacher, I could connect with people. I connected with my parents. I connected with my students. I connected with, as a coach, I connected with my athletes and their parents. But you were confined to your classroom for the most part. As a superintendent, you have the ability to build relationships because you have the time within your day with a variety of other people in the community that can really help improve the system. And when I say the system, I mean the school district. And so I really like that part of it. I also really appreciate the idea that I can help first learn the system and where the opportunities for growth are, and then really help develop organically how you're going to address that development and improvement of the overall workings of our organization. And so those are the things I like. I like the fact that I get to set the direction, or have maybe not necessarily set it, but have a significant part in that process. And I appreciate that, because as I stated earlier, I really want every student that leaves NLS to leave feeling adequately prepared for their next step in life. Sure. I don't ever want a student to leave NLS feeling as though they missed something. And so being the superintendent, I get to help ensure that.
What are some of the major challenges you've experienced so far? Maybe not major, but what's been difficult?
You know, I would say that it's really not been a challenge, but the difficult part is, again, getting to know the community and how it ticks, and what's accepted, what's not accepted, and those unwritten rules, I guess, of the community, because everyone has them. an example that I can give that this is the unwritten rule or the untold story of a community that I learned as a superintendent at JWP, and I grew up there. And it's trying to learn those stories here. So you make sure that you understand when you make decisions how it affects or how it could affect a particular area. So getting to understand all those things very clearly is what's really important. And so that's been a challenge. The example I can give is in my former district, we had what was called religious release on Wednesdays. And so what that was is students in the high school were released from school to attend religious release, I guess, classes. And so high school students from, and this is approximate 8:25 to 9:25, were at their, I guess, the churches that conducted religious ed classes. And then in the afternoon, elementary students went from approximately 2 to 3 p.m. And what happened is teaching stopped for those grade levels when those classes were happening.
Okay.
So it was roughly an hour per week. So if you do the math, that's 36 hours throughout the year. If there's approximately 36 weeks of lost instruction. So I wanted to have a community conversation about potentially coming up and developing a plan of action that might allow us to have those 36 hours back. And it was very clear that was not something that the community wanted to negotiate on or have a conversation about. And I respect that and I learn from it. But it's those types of things that I need to understand. And it may not be exactly like that, but I need to understand what's really important to the community. So trying to discover those things is important. And I think over time, obviously I'll discover them, but it'll take some time.
So you don't have everything figured out in 2 months you've been here?
No.
Close?
No, not even close. I have met a lot of fine folks, so that's for sure. And I've experienced some mighty fine lakes.
Yeah, we've got those. All right, hobbies. Aside from Game of Thrones, what do you like to do for fun?
I like to golf. And so at Janesville, we had a family membership, and we golf. I'd at least golf probably at a minimum twice a week, and my wife would golf at a minimum of once a week. And so we really enjoy doing that. I really do enjoy reading when I get an opportunity for enjoyment. I'm a big Dan Brown fan, so Da Vinci Code and all of them actually. They're all great. The Origin, I've read all of them. Digital Fortress, all of them. So he's solid, and I'll pretty much read anything. So I like to do that. I like to play. Well, my name is. Oh gosh, I gotta. What is that game? Oh, my kids would tell you right away. But my name's Clash Nerd on the game. So it's oh man, how can I not think of it?
This is a
Clash Royale. Clash Royale,
okay.
The app Clash Royale. I like to play that. So my name's Clash Nerd. Clash Nerd. But so that's kind of fun.
So you might be playing against some students coming up here. Wait, and you might not even know it, right?
It's as a matter of fact a good story on that. So there's like side chats because you can trade cards and stuff like that. So I just started laughing out loud because I saw this note from a kid. Sorry, I didn't play my war games. I just got my phone back from mom and dad. So I had to show everybody, like, look at this. I play with like 12-year-olds. Oh, I got a chuckle out of that.
Yeah,
but
that's great.
I enjoy doing that. Obviously, I enjoy hanging out with the kids, and we like to go to the lake, and yeah.
You get a boat yet?
Yeah, we've got a pontoon.
Okay.
So we've taken that out quite a bit. And
Nice.
yeah, it just gave us another thing to do on the weekends, right?
Yeah.
And
Tell us about your kids, the ages of your kids.
Yep.
And family, maybe?
Yeah, so my wife is Stacy, and then we have 4 kids. Lexi, she's 20, just turned 20.
Oh, wow.
And then Gable's going to be in 10th grade, and then Emma and Bryn will be in 5th and then 4th grade. So Emma will be in 5th and Bryn will be in 4th grade. And it's been an adjustment, obviously, more so for the older student, Gable, but he's done a real nice job. He went out for cross country, and he's met some kids now.
Okay.
And so he's made some connections already, which is really good. And he's just a pretty down-to-earth kid anyway. He's good at making connections with people, and he'll be fine. But it is tough on a sophomore to leave all your buddies behind. And
I bet.
we've had a lot of those kids up here during the summer.
Okay.
As he's transitioned, and so that's been good. But he's doing really well now, and Emma and Bryn will be just fine. They're young enough now to where I'll meet friends. We'll be good. And that's where I go back to and say that people have been so welcoming and so kind, and it's made the transition that much easier. And folks have offered a variety of different things to help out or to invite you here or there to be involved, and I've really appreciated that about the community.
Yeah.
You're going to be an awesome fit, and your family too.
Great
group.
So.
Yep.
For sure. How can people get in touch with you? I mean, are you on social media? Obviously Twitter, but
yeah, you can. I use the app Buffer, and I can use that to connect. Do one post and it goes to.
So you're on everything.
Okay. And so you can connect with me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, and pretty much all of them are the same thing. It's at SUPT_Adams. You can obviously call the district office as well, or stop in, send an email, however you want to connect in that way. Folks can reach out. If you're interested, if anyone's interested, I'd love to sit down and chat about anything really, just to get further immersed in the community would be helpful.
Sure.
How about, is there anything that we have not asked you that you want to share? Any hidden talents or crazy adventures? Or
I want to hear more about the whole comedy thing.
Oh, yes. Stand-up comedy. Yeah, exactly.
So you were serious about that?
No. No, not even close.
You could be one, I think.
Well, I'd try, but I think I'd probably fall flat on my face.
That could be another episode. Maybe we'll do that later.
Yeah,
we'll go halfway through the school year and have you back, and
version 2.0.
We'll give you half an hour.
Yeah, exactly. I think, one of my hidden talents is I can play the nose flute, and I bet most people don't even know what that is.
What is it?
It's exactly what I said. A nose flute. It's like a plastic little flute that you hold to your nose.
Really?
On. Yeah, so I can knock that out of the park. My students used to love it, and I could motivate kids to get things done by saying, if you finish this within the next 15 minutes, I'll play a couple songs on the nose flute, and I do it, and they get things done. One thing that I need people to understand about me is I'm super fidgety. I've got a lot of energy, and I'm not nervous. It's who I am. So if you see me out and about, or I'm on stage and I'm talking and I may be moving around or pushing my hands around, or snap my fingers or whatever, or swaying back and forth, I apologize up front if I make anyone seasick. But at the end of the day, that's who I am. Yeah. I've tried really, really, really hard to not be like that, but I've come to the terms and I've accepted the fact that that's who I am, and I'm not going to change it. So I am who I am, I guess, is what they say.
Bill Adams. You'll love him if you don't know him.
Yeah, well, I hope so.
Well, thanks again for coming in to sit down and take some time out of your day and let everybody get to know you a little bit. And like I said earlier, if they have not had a chance to meet you, they're going to enjoy you, and we're lucky to have you here.
Oh, yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I'm super happy to be here, and I'm lucky to be here. That's for darn sure. I'm glad I found it.
And we want to thank you for taking time out of your day to spend with us. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean a lot to us if you would subscribe and leave a review. The On Main Street podcast is a bi-weekly show brought to you by New London Real Estate.